Heidi, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us who you are.
My name is Heidi Shierholz, and I'm an economist at the Economic Policy Institute in Washington, D.C.
All right. So today you did a fabulous presentation for the National Association of Planning Councils. We're having our annual meeting. And what are the big takeaways for the planning councils from your presentation?
So right now, we really have to focus on the short run, what we're going to do when state and local governments are facing big budget gaps. Things are getting better. Budget gaps for the next couple of years aren't going to be as bad as they were, but they're still really deep. And so one of the things that planning councils can do is push for closing those budget gaps in a smart way. And what the economics tells us is that in a time of high unemployment, like what we're facing right now, closing budget gaps, i.e. increasing taxes or cutting spending, both of those things can make the economy worse. But there's a smart rule of thumb that in a time of high unemployment, cutting spending hurts things more than raising taxes. So if there's a decision to be made about cutting services or cutting spending versus raising taxes, the rule of thumb is to maintain spending and raise taxes if you have to at a time like this when unemployment is really high.
So what's unprecedented about our economy right now? Can you just tell us some differences between what we're experiencing now and what happened in the 80s and even as far back as the 1930s?
Yeah, we are still in the aftermath of the worst recession that we had seen in 70 years. And the effects of that are still being felt. We have an unemployment rate right now at the national level of over 8%. It's been higher than 8% for more than 3 years. And just to put that in context, I think at some point we are getting sort of unemployment fatigue, but the unemployment rate in 2007, before the Great Recession hit, averaged 4.6%. That's where we need to be. There's still a really long way to go to get back to health in the economy. It's happening slowly. The work that the planning councils do in the next couple of years are going to be within that context of elevated unemployment, still facing budget problems, and so moving the next couple of years in smart ways is going to be one of the best things that planning councils can do for the communities.
Thank you. So what is the value of you coming to, Heidi has been joining us almost annually since 2009 when we had our conference in Austin, and it has been a great pleasure to hear kind of like the progress we're making as we're in this recession, as a country understanding where we're at. So what is the value of you coming to our conference this year?
The way I love it, first of all, I think it's a wonderful conference, and I love actually talking to people who are doing the real work. Like I am in the weeds of these national data and looking at state numbers, and then this is where the real stuff gets done. These are where all of these concerns about budgets, you guys are the people that actually see these things being cut and have to work with less and have to get communities through this incredibly difficult time on shoestring budgets. So that's, for me, it's just a pleasure to see people who are doing the real work. And then I hope that it's useful for you guys to see, what can you expect? When is this going to end? When can you start to think about actually ramping up rather than having to keep cutting back? What's your horizon look like going forward?
Yeah, I want to comment on that. I'm in Austin, and people often think that we're doing so great, but I keep reminding people that we are really very dependent on what goes on nationally and globally in terms of the economy, politics, or demographics, immigration. All of these things impact our well-being in the community. So I really appreciate when I can come to these conferences and hear you present on these issues, because then it helps give a context for the work we're doing locally. Somebody used the word glocally. I think I'm going to start using that. So thanks so much, Heidi.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you very much.